This is Planet Music.
Welcome to Planet Music from the makers of Planet Marzipan.
In a streaming world, we're proud to be a podcast that celebrates the art of the album. Hello and welcome to Planet Music. I'm Meza. I'm here with my good friends.
Craig.
And
Mikey.
And
Gray.
And we have a special guest with us. We welcome to the podcast Patrick Cleesby.
Hello.
Hi, Patrick. Good evening. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good. And Patrick, well, you'll understand in a moment why Patrick's here, because he's got a lot of knowledge about what we're going to talk about. As you can see from the title of the episode, we are here to talk about, I think we probably will touch upon an album this time, but we're talking about Stephen Wilson, who's just reactivated the Headphone Dust website, which was initially his record label, and he's reactivated it as a download site for some initially for an exclusive live album, Impossible Tightrope, live in Madrid. So at the moment there are no plans for that to be released as a physical product. That's available download only from this website. He's also put up definitive digital versions of the Overview and Harmony Codex and The Raven That Refused to Sing. Now these definitive digital versions have multiple mixes. They have Atmos, they have 5.1, they have something called a binaural headphone mix. And I think the Overview, correct me if I'm wrong, Gray and Patrick, has got the film that was projected on the back from the...
It's got some of it. Yeah, it doesn't have the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a bit cagey on letting the whole thing out, to be honest.
Right. And Patrick's here because he was involved in some of the testing for the Headphone Dust website and some of the audio.
You know that when you asked me, though?
Pardon?
You didn't know that when you asked me, though?
I didn't know. I mean, you're here because I know you've, as an acquaintance from gigs, and I know you're a fan. You're a massive surround sound fan, and we end up on a lot of the same forums, and we have similar interests. You're about 10 steps further down the road in Atmos than me. I'm still 5.1, folded down, but I can live with that. But that's why I initially asked you to come on. But thank you very much for coming on. And I mean, before we get into some of the discussions that we're going to have, how did you become involved in the testing of this?
I was just asked. Stephen asked the management to sort of get me involved because he occasionally asks me sort of Atmosy questions. It doesn't happen that often, So it's just a bit of a working relationship. I go to a lot of these Atmos playbacks in London, and obviously a lot of them are sort of Stephen-centric.
Yeah.
So I see his manager at those, and we've been chatting for a long time, and I just get a bit in their face and annoy them, and but occasionally then they need some help and ask me for help.
So what did you get? Did you get all the mixes that are there in advance?
No, it started sort of a slow build-up. So it's only about 3 or 4 months ago.
So would that be the same time as the guy from the IAA website?
Yeah.
Because he was involved, wasn't he? He did some of the pre-listening and
Jonathan, yeah. I mean, Jonathan's got a credit on Harmony Codex of advising Stephen on mixes.
Yeah.
Which I've never done. I'm not on so much on the creative side. I'm a techie nerdy professional. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I do file-based QC for the BBC. So it is my kind of bent anyway. So I can be very kind of, and this goes right back to DVD authoring 20 years ago for Fish and stuff. And, I worked in the studio where a lot of early No Man and Porcupine Tree stuff was mastered. And I've been there since the beginning with Stephen and Surround. I interviewed him, did a big write-up on In Absentia in 2004. I went to the In Absentia launch in Earl's Court back then. And I've just stuck with it ever since. So in a way, some of it can become a busman's holiday. I mean, I kind of dropped out for Grace for Drowning because I just wasn't into it at that time. And I really came back. I went to the Raven, but I came back about Hank and O'Reilly's time.
Yeah.
So I'm not deep in it. It's kind of more that it's kind of a professional interest of mine, really. BBC is obviously not into Atmos, but if I dropped out of the BBC, I probably would be. That's what
Yeah.
I'm aiming at.
And what's
Um,
your setup at home then?
oh, I've got a full-on setup. I mean, I don't know if I've told you the story of how that happened, but it's all their fault, really. This is Rob Scarron's thing, baby.
Yeah.
I was told by the management, leave it to Rob because he's the one getting paid for it. But no, when he sat down in lockdown with Stephen, and Stephen had just about done Caught the Crimson King, um, I just like light bulb moment when he said, "Oh, I'm mixing to 7.1.4. I'm sitting in the 5.1 room I've basically had for 20 years of like top end kind of gear." And 20 years ago, sort of adopting that at the start kind of helped me get into knowing those people and talking about this stuff and thinking about this stuff and DVD authoring, etc. By the time I got to Blu-ray authoring, I'd steered all this work to a guy called Neil Wilkes in the Uxbridge Road in London, who did a lot of that early panegyric, yes, King Crimson, all that stuff, and Stephen and everything. But no, when they said he's mixing 7.1.4, I just said to my missus, well, I did this 20 years ago, and I reckon if I did that in here, I could do it all over again. And she went, to my amazement, she went, yeah, right.
It's funny, I got the opposite reaction when I tried to do it.
Yeah.
So I got 4 holes in the ceiling of this, what at the time was a rented house that we've now bought, thank God.
Yeah.
I nearly killed myself in the process, like fell off some ladders, could have lost vital parts of my anatomy with a saw thing. And then in the end, paid a young man £5 to cut each hole with a manual saw. So yeah, top end sort of 3-box Marantz solution sort of processor amps to cope with a number of channels. That would now be a 2-box solution if you went like whatever that is 5 years later, kind of Marantz technology. And I had a very nice core 5.1 system from writing about hi-fi that was kindly donated, and it's all monitor audio. Dolby recommending monitor audio above you. I already had 5.1 with 4 floor standards, matches center. Just got a couple of second-hand monitor audio for the sides, which I find hugely important. But really, it's like you're trying to get Dolby reference setup that maps to kind of how he's mixing. So if he's 7.1.4, I'm 7.1.4, and he knows that. And I organized with Dolby and the management a chat about his second effort, really, which is the Harmony Codex. I can't quite remember the timing. Caught the Crimson King's beautiful, obviously, sounds amazing. It's very little to work with, but it's all in the ambiance on that one. And Harmony Codex, he worked with a guy called Jake from Dolby's, who sort of almost played a bit the Elliot Shiner role of kind of guiding him into his first one or two. But obviously, Stephen being Stephen, he's just picked up the ball and run with it ever since.
Yeah.
And just stuff gets better all the time. It's all those loops of iteration of King Crimson and Yes that have kind of snowballed and carried on.
He's revisiting the Yes stuff again now, isn't he?
Yeah. You can't really knock it. I mean, we're dumb enough to buy it each time. So
I think that's it. Yeah. The record companies are just wringing their hands, aren't they?
We
I don't
remember
know if
that
you remember
conversation this afternoon.
the note at the end of Fripp's note at the end of the frame by frame box set was, as long as I'm alive, I'm going to keep looping round and knocking this stuff out again. So way before he got involved with Stephen, Fripp was committing to he's going to keep redoing this stuff, and that's the way it goes. And there's just such a strong. My background is classic. What you've got behind you, Mez, Genesis and Peter Gabriel and Marillion and all that stuff. I don't go as far as you guys into some of the other stuff, but that's my background, and I've felt that I've come back to kind of what I first fell in love with, and it's because there's such a strong mapping in prog to be able to do these mostly innovative mixes. It's probably best if we just talk about Stephen the good ones rather than talking about any of the bad ones. But that's where it's at. It's good that Paul Sinclair and Stephen sort of pushed to sort of 80s pop and stuff as well and unfortunately Stephen didn't do the Pet Shop Boys, but it's all heading in that direction. But I don't see anyone sort of pushing on it as hard as he is, because he's the artist, because he's the producer, because he's the mixer, because he's the mastering engineer. The headphone dust concept enables him to do how they set it out, which is this definitive edition kind of thing. And not only can you can see what they're doing in terms of marketing. It's like an live album that's not going to come out in any other way.
Yeah.
But also for the hardcore, there's a bass communion album that you're not going to get in 5.1 anywhere else.
Yeah.
And these are the things that sort of drive us towards it. And the other mapping is a lot of us are IT nerds, and a lot of us have been like 5.1 and movies and Blade Runner and whatever, like Alien, all down the line. So one of the things they'd identified that, I wasn't only testing, I was kind of making some recommendations, and there's some stuff in there that came from Jonathan at INA and IAA. There's some stuff that probably came from me, and there's some stuff that came from me that bounced off and wasn't accepted, and it remains to be seen how all of this plays out. But they're at the stage where it's too early. They're not prepared to say kind of how this has gone for them. They don't want to get involved. They're kind of tolerating me coming on and gobshiting about it a bit because that's what I do. But it's like,
well, you're more than welcome on here. That's all we do. Or me. I don't know. These other guys have some sensible stuff to say, and I just gobshy about stuff. But
one of the thinkings was that in striking for the most up-to-date file format, so 4Ks and stuff, and H.265, without getting too tweaky, I didn't want that. I thought that this kit from 10 years ago, you could have done a level of file that was less video bothered and therefore less kind of 4K. Or
that's my issue with it now.
So I haven't gone that far to Camp's opinion. You'll have seen that I've kind of tried to help a few people along on the forums.
Yeah.
But the main reason I'm here, Mez, is because I took piss out of you and you saying I'm not going to buy it because it's not physical.
Oh yeah, I threw my toys out the pram.
There was loads of people like that.
I tend to do that, but I wasn't alone. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So there was loads of people like that, but there was also, you talk about the current technology, 265 and your MKV files and whatever. What was really interesting, looking at this, like, why aren't you doing it in ISO? It's like nobody uses ISOs anymore.
No, I mean,
it's like
the fact is, what you have to acknowledge, if you're being realistic about it, is the way a lot of us, or a lot of people in this community, have pushed forward into these kind of territories is backing up their own discs, because we've had landmark Pink Floyd Blu-rays just fail to work after a year or two.
Yeah.
And that's not even an authoring problem. That's kind of a physical kind of medium problem.
Degradation,
plant problem. But you're very sensible to back up your own stuff, and depending on your sort of playback chain, ISO is a good way to do it. And it's also a good starting point to be able to strip out your own files. And Stephen knows that the first thing that I do when I get any disc is like take it all out, stereo 5.1 Atmos, look at the levels, see what people are doing in the authoring, because there's certain things that are still being debated as in terms of, are people doing this right or not? And this is a much more Wild Wild West thing that we're doing here, because Blu-ray at least has a spec to which you're theoretically constrained.
Yeah.
When you author a disc, it can still balls up. If any of you know the story of Envy of None, the second album, the Blu-ray for that, it's got very high bit rate on some kit. It just kind of drops out, which is an issue really. And the other thing that people are discussing a lot is the QC of these discs these autherings before they go out. That one was QC by someone, but still sort of got through, and it's debatable. And I'm not talking about the creative here. There's other issues with discs where some of the creative's gone a bit awry, like Tubular Bells, that have never been kind of fully acknowledged. But when it's all locked down to the Blu-ray spec, you know what the point you're starting from. You say, how did this start? It was very easy for me to identify when we got the initial drop that Robert ripped Blu-rays like any of us would do and made it into MKVs, which we have done. I knew this principle was going to work because Stephen sent me the Harmony Codecs about 6 months early, and I had to teach myself how to turn Dolby ADM files into something playable, and got down this MKV route. It's the only route to go down, really. It's nice. MKV is a nice thing that it's there. It's what enables a lot of this. I mean, when it was first conceptualized, there wasn't any of these files alongside, and as you say, they've added the ALAC. They're listening. It enables you to be very responsive.
Yeah. I mean, that was probably done about a week before, because they've just sent an email out in the last couple of days about it, haven't they? So
it's about a week ago. I mean, I haven't been paying that much notice now, but
And
One of the great things about this, you can say what you like about, does it represent the death of physical media? Is this going to endure? I don't think this is going to map to the Pet Shop Boys or anybody else that isn't the kind of one-man band Stephen kind of principle. This really works for him as he's painting it for an archive of all the definitive versions that the real hardcore like us can go to and get access to. And I think if it enables some of the stuff he's saying, which is, we knew for a while that he was once he got into Atmos, he was saying, I'm going to revisit stuff, not returning Jesus and before, not light bulb sun and before. I still have some hope that some of that stuff may happen given time, but he's sick of the sight of hearing them. Not sure they're ever going to happen. But having this as an outlet where you don't have to go to the expense of and the risk of authoring, and you can tweak it shortly after it's come out, is a great proposition. Now, I don't know if any of you know, but the Raven, one of the selling points of this is the Raven being an Atmos, because it's not an Atmos anywhere else. It may never be at the moment, and it wasn't right at the start, and everyone should know they need to re-download it. And it's that principle of being able to re-download something, have a tweak made to it. Sometimes the comms, you say the comms has been good on ALAC. I'm not sure what the comms on Raven was like.
It wasn't.
No, I mean,
it was through a forum.
Gray bought them, and I'd read it on a forum and said to him, "You need to go back and download them." So he's not seen it.
Yeah, it was not. It's quite complex. Even what he's doing here. I made the point when it was just the first set of Blu-rays is Rob, you're gonna have to get used to the Dolby Media encoder here, because what would be part of a DVD or a Blu-ray authoring process, which is putting that essentially what is a movie tool, a movie encoder, and putting stuff through it and getting a sensible sounding music result. There are certain constraints in the settings, some ideal settings for music. There always were, and there are now, and that's kind of what went awry there. It was re-encoded the day before it dropped, which I don't really understand. But it's been made good, and it's a lot easier to make it good than having to knock out replacement Blu-rays or CDs. And
true.
I
mean, my issue is that I've got to spend money to play it. From where I'm standing now, I've got to have another outlay to be able to play these in the formats that are there. Gray, you've done that, haven't you, in the last week?
So I was a very early surround sound adopter. I had a really good 5.1 system, what have you. I did buy an Atmos system and then got rid of it because I moved from a very large house to a very small cottage. And I've gone down, so I've got the Sonos Arc and the Era 300s and what have you. So it does Atmos, and it's true HD. It can play true HD, but I've not got the side speakers and what have you anymore. But I still, because of the way they fire, I still get the width and the height.
It can be amazing. Sennheiser played me an enormous one somewhere once.
It's ridiculous. It really is, and it's the girth. I think that's the word I'm going to use. The girth of it. It's honestly, the sound is fantastic.
Well, I've got a weedy little Denon one, and
yeah.
So there's a bit. I mean, I've got a proper system there, and
I used Plex for years. I took all my. I mean, I used MKV containers for all my rips of stuff, and I mean, I had all the original DTS Pink Floyd stuff that I ripped and had kept on a soft copy and used up my media server. All of Stephen's early 5.1 Blu-rays, like the singles. I mean, Drive Home stuff. So the Raven, the previous, some of the Porcupine Tree stuff, the Blu-rays and DVDs that he did. I had all of them, and they were all 5.1, so I could play them all fine. And then I got this new system, the Atmos system, and I was playing it all. And then I moved here to the cottage. I've got a really nice TV. I've got an OLED TV, which is eARC, True HD pass through, and I used Plex. And it was when this came out, I suddenly realized, hang on a minute, this is not playing 7.1 properly, because
I've got an issue with Plex. I mean, Plex is one of the easiest solutions for people that are wrestling with ways of doing this.
Yeah.
If they can get their head around kind of setting up a server and setting up a client.
Yeah.
But Plex isn't, again, it's a bit more of a film tool.
Yeah.
And when they brought in Tidal, it wasn't it wasn't being sort of bit for bit in terms of sampling rates and stuff. So it was like
Yeah.
for me, as soon as you can't do that, you're out of the game.
So yeah. But there are settings within Plex, if you are a geek, that you can turn on direct play and you can turn on pass through.
I'm sure
So
it's moved on a bit in the last, whether that is 7 years or.
Yeah, so you turn on the direct play and it doesn't do any transcoding within the app. It just goes, here's the data, here's the stream of data, let your hardware deal with it. And that's what I've been using. And I thought it was working properly until I played Raven. And the channels were all over the place, and there was bits here, and there was a single Tom in one backcourt.
Was this the wrong Raven or the right?
No, this is the new Raven,
right?
And it was like, and I was like, what's going on here? What's happening there? So I brought up. Let me see. Can I share this? I'll share photos. Yeah.
Not great for people that are listening, Craig.
Not great for
people,
but so that you can see what I'm talking about. So let's see if this all content only. Can you see that image there?
Yeah, we've got it. Yeah.
So you'll see here it's on direct play for the EAC3, but it's still 760p and it's doing the 5.1. So that it will play that direct. I had direct play on for True HD. Sorry, and it recognized it as FLAC for some reason, not even as True HD, and it was trying to transcode, can't transcode because it's an unsupported container and all this kind of stuff. So I tried forcing. I put it again on True HD and it converted it automatically. Turn off direct play and it automatically converted it to EAC3. So it downsourced it. And that was when I realized you can ask these guys, I was messaging them by the hour for about a week going, this is driving me up the wall because I know my amp, my TV, everything are capable of the pass through, but nothing's working. Why is it not playing True HD audio?
Yeah.
And it turns out, as you rightly say, as they rightly say on the Headphone Dust Store, internal apps on TVs, regardless of what they say, will not pass through True HD Dolby Atmos audio. None of them. Sony, LG, nobody. Internal apps do not play Atmos. So even if you've got Disney or Netflix and it says Dolby Atmos, it's AC3. It's not True HD.
It's EAC3, yeah.
Yeah, EAC3. Sorry, yeah. Whereas I went and spent 60 quid and got myself the brand new Amazon Fire Stick 4K Plus.
Yeah.
And the Plus is the key bit because they've just updated that to be True HD pass-through compatible. So I plugged that in, installed the app, and I'm now getting True HD 7.1 pass-through to my Sonos system. Yeah. And the sound compared to what I was getting is just phenomenal.
It just goes to show how you've got to get all these links in the chain right to get it coming out sounding right, and you've got to know what it's. I mean, we all know what this stuff is supposed to sound like, don't we?
And also, I'm a tech. I work in IT. I work in sound. I used to work in sound, and I'm a geek. So this was to me was a challenge that wasn't going to break me.
Well, I was just lucky, really, because two things. I started off just using, when I first sort of made my own, just used VLC with a Chromecast as a renderer, and you're away. And just, I haven't really paid much attention to the Apple TV side of this yet, because they're supposed to be bringing in sort of full Dolby pass-through, but it wasn't there in time for this, which is why Rob kind of identified this Infuse Pro thing as a way of playing the lossy Atmos.
I think my problem with the Infuse is the subscription requirement.
Sorry?
The subscription requirement for Infuse to play.
You don't need a subscription to have the hardware. I mean, we're just talking about using it as a hardware box.
Yeah.
But no, my actual concern was about the 4K-ness and the H.265-ness, because with a 10-year-old telly with Chromecast or an original Chromecast, you're sort of constrained to that. Yeah. You know, Blu-ray's HD. Why did we need to go beyond this? But one of the things that I was quite surprised actually, because Jonathan's site doesn't do, Jonathan's products on IAA don't do video. But he was one of the ones that's kind of endorsing having bits of video in these things. And I guess that's what's pushed Rob to go 4K H.265 to be able to show off the beauty of his brother's film, But for me, I'd have rather treated these as audio products and had them as backwards compatible as possible.
The I mean, the imagery in both Impossible Tightrope and pardon me, Raven is fantastic. When you're sitting there and you've got the sound on, all of a sudden the video comes on for Drive Home or for Raven in the 4K in surround sound that we've never heard. Sorry, in the Atmos that we've never heard before for that album. It was Drive Home is the solo soars, and I mean literally soars. It is just
what enables you to actually call it definitive, isn't it? Really,
yeah.
It's not going to get any better than that in our lifetimes, at least.
No. And I've just gone and spent the money on the other albums now to get the definitive, because I've gone and bought Overview and
Harmony Codex.
Harmony Codex, and I've got the box sets for them, but I've gone and bought these again anyway. So it's doing what he wants it to do.
Yeah, I think it is. I'd love to know kind of how well it's performed for them and how much of a support effort they've had, But Rob's done very well with sorting it out.
I think Rob does, doesn't he? He kind of reaches out to fans, doesn't he? And listens and feeds back.
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised that it wasn't that long between he extended it beyond the previous testing to asking people in the groups to sort of list out what kit they'd got. And I thought we're going to go through a sort of wider sort of spread of testing, and then all of a sudden it was kind of live. So wasn't involved in any of that, but I think probably worked out all right. It's probably put a few people's backs up. It's probably caused.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Did you read
a few people
any
like
of
Graham to have very entertained ears hearing some
Yeah.
stuff in its definitive version, So.
The forums seem to be split sort of 60-40 in favour of it.
Yeah,
and most people are that 60. I find it dead easy to do because they have a setup that's compatible, so they just download it and play.
Yeah.
I mean, lots of people have shields and all that.
I was on a winner because I got both Oppos. I mean, this is having a 105 or a 205. 105 is obviously not 4K compatible. So in a way, I guess it might have been self-interest saying let's just keep it at 1080. But it's not. They said it's not my show. I'm not getting paid for it. I just put in some words of encouragement and advice, really.
And what do you make of the binaural mixes then?
Binaural?
Yeah.
I don't have much truck with, I like proper binaural. I used to work in a studio where we made some binaural stuff, proper sort of live in-head microphones in the pinner of your ears kind of binaural. I think this binaural is really there because it's part of the byproduct of being an Atmosist, that you don't only, I know a couple. I know Richard Whittaker, who's the guy who does the Thin Lizzies and stuff. And, I've spoken to Costin, trying to think who else. But Mark Ayres, Radiophonic Workshop, did the Orbital. So in this circle of people, there's a lot of sort of back chat around how things should be done. But one of the things that you kind of have to do is look after how what you've done presents itself in that sort of headphone binaural context. And Apple, in their own classical way, have got their own flavour of that. I'm not sure if they've lined up with everybody else now, but historically, there used to be a different headphone Atmos format that you had to do for Apple.
I didn't read. I watched an interview with Stephen recently, and he was talking. He says, I don't know what they do with the Apple algorithm. He says, but I've had to redo the mix for Apple specifically.
Yeah. For which one?
That was for, I'm sure it was Impossible Tightrope.
Right.
For the binaural mix. He says, I don't know what the Apple algorithm does for binaural. He says, but I have had to tweak my mix specifically for Apple.
Well, what you do is you find them, like him's got some very nice vocal headphones. Other guys, same kind of deal, is that they're sort of checking. It's a kind of knockdown version of the Atmos. It's part of that process. It exists because it's got to go on those sort of DSP providers,
Yeah.
But I don't have much truck with it, so I don't pay it that much attention. If I left my current job and became an Atmos authorer or whatever, I'd have to pay it a lot more attention. But at the moment,
I mean,
I've tried with Apple Atmos to listen to it on Apple Gear, both the little ones and the big ones, and try and get some value out of it, try and make some sense of it, but it's just not for me.
So I turned on. I had the Apple Spatial Sound turned on my Apple AirPods and the big ones, and I turned it off. I found it because the way they do it is your head moves within the mix when you turn your head.
You can turn.
So I turned that off.
Yeah.
I turned that off, and I'd never used it again until the Headphone Dust released the actual, because I converted the FLAC binaural to Apple binaural to Apple format using XLD, and it didn't work properly.
I don't dare mention XLD and Mac and stuff, because then I get slagged off for being an enthusiast for that as well as everything.
So I thought,
I've been living
I'm
on
not sure about
XLD
that
for 15 years at this point, you know.
Yeah, I think I'm about the same.
Yeah.
And then they released the ALAC mixes, and I went, let's try them. So I deleted them off. I
haven't even bothered. I mean, the point is, as I said, when we started, it was just the MKVs, and the proposition was like everything in one bucket.
Yeah.
Then on the day of launch, I thought, oh, they've done all this, and then they've done the ALAC as well.
Yeah.
But I've not. I mean, I ought to, but I haven't paid it any attention. You know,
it's interesting they put the ALAC 5.1 in it as well, and I'm not sure the purpose of having that separate.
No, I mean we've got embedded FLAC, haven't we? In the
yeah, I'm not sure the point of having the ALAC 5.1 separate, because I don't think you can play it directly through Apple unless you've got something like, because it won't play. It won't play Apple lossless 5.1 in Apple Music because it doesn't recognize it. It doesn't even,
it won't. I mean, it's not. They haven't really no streaming service has done anything with 5.1 in a major way.
No.
You know, Cobas have got some classical stuff almost by accident. There's 5.1 and it does actually work. You know, if you plug it through Roon, which is another thing, probably a step too far for many people, but
I do like Roon.
Roon's actually a great way of dealing with 5.1.
Yeah.
But I was a bit worried that we put the FLAC in there because some older things, again, it's like if you ignore older things, it doesn't really matter because FLAC's becoming a standard for stuff being able to play it. But there might be some old stuff where FLAC causes things to choke, but it's a size argument, really. There's a lot going on once you put the video in. Rob's managed to get all the files down to sort of 15 gig or whatever. He's quite pleased with that.
16.8, I think, is the biggest one at the moment, isn't it?
So it's just getting super techy nerdy. Two IT guys talking to themselves about.
It's all right. We're not chipping in. We're not interrupting. I'm going to take it back a step. Another issue I've got is that it's all bundled in that one price. So if you don't want all the files, you still got to pay the top price.
No, but that price is it. There was a sort of nominal price in the first version of the site. The site hasn't changed that much. A few little tweaks in terms of downloadability of the files. I see some of that still confuse people slightly, but I don't know if that's sort of browser compatibilities and stuff, because you originally had to go to the mail and then go and download from there, whereas I think you can download sort of.
Yeah, you can go straight into the website now, click on orders and download directly.
But all that stuff is basically bonus. It's a different representation of the same thing that's made to make people easier, make it easier for people who are stereo only, who are only interested in that.
But Impossible Tightrope for stereo only, you would pay
$18.99. It was
$18.99.
originally listed at 15, and it went up a bit. Some of the stuff's still 15. Basically.
I was going to say the others are still 15. That's the only one that's $18.99.
Yeah, which one?
It's Impossible Tightrope.
But it's an exclusive and it's new. Everything else
new product. It's longer. You know, I don't know. I don't want to sort of have.
No, I'm. It's just a debate. I'm not here to say. You know, it feels, because again, I'm not coming at it from the angle that you two are. I just want the FLAC or the Apple files. I don't really want the MKV file. I've nowhere to store it. Certainly haven't got the means to play it.
Yeah, storage, backup, playability. These are the things that non-IT guys are probably going to have more of an issue kind of coping with than we do, because we know what we're doing with this stuff because we've been doing it for years.
So it's interesting. So I'm looking at specifically for John, actually, in the first place, is doing a one-page guide.
Yeah,
saying here's what you need: minimum viable product, basically minimum viable product to get a decent sound of the MKV on your system. He's got a Mac, he's got HDMI on his system, he's got a surround system, so he can get he could play the surround sound through the MKV if he had a way of playing it.
I don't like the tethered solutions. It's like there should be sort of streaming solutions, really. But
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it wasn't really being predicated as a thing for stereo guys kind of product, idea.
It's marketed as the definitive version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
But that then becomes an issue if that's the only place you can get it, an album.
well, that was your original objection that I was teasing you about and saying
It was, yes.
So, but I take your point. I take your point. Absolutely. We do this stuff because we're used to doing this stuff, and we're doing this stuff through our own choice and making our own file versions of things, and that's definitely not everyone's bag. So, yeah, I feel your pain really. But from Rob's point of view, it was, and I guess sort of Stephen behind that. It's Stephen stops at outputting the audio product, non-mastered in a Stephen way, and I thoroughly approve of that. The mastering levels on the live album are great. Everything's good. But Rob's point of view, I think in those instructions on the site, which were revised quite a lot, sort of during
They're quite detailed.
advice. He's just trying to give people the best. We weren't going to have lossy Atmos in it originally. It was just going to be full fat Atmos, and then realised that we were being a bit cock blocked on the Apple side because they don't support the True HD. So the lossy version was thrown in, so at least people can hear the joy of Atmos.
Yeah.
And it's going to be. I haven't played with it myself. I don't want to spend any extra money. Marquez has spent 18 quid for a year just to be able to listen to lossy Atmos through his Apple TV because he happens to be an Apple TV listener. But
so I'd like to say the only thing I spent the 60 quid on the Amazon Fire Stick 4K Plus, and even if it wasn't for Headphone Dust, the difference in the audio quality, that's because it's not an internal TV, it just baffles me. I had no, I was getting a version of Atmos.
You know what people say? You're going through 10p chips. As soon as you plug it through a telly, the economy of what chips are put in those things, you're not doing a hi-fi proposition at all.
So if anybody's listening that isn't really techie, that's got this far through the
switched
podcast,
off by now,
if they've got this far in the podcast, no TV manufacturer's built-in app or an app you install on your television plays True Atmos. Not one. Not even Sony, which blew my mind. The internal apps will not do True HD. It has to be HDMI pass-through.
I wouldn't expect them to, or eARC, blatting something at the telly and eARCing back out.
eARCing it back out, yeah.
I think that's going to be my stumbling block is eARC, because my TV does it, but I'm not sure that my system does it.
Doesn't need to. It's just the TV.
We'll talk offline about
it.
I'm not here to debate
that.
If
you control it and make it less nerdy, talk about something else.
Well, we can talk about the live album, really, because, it's pretty amazing.
It was an amazing show.
Were you there?
No, it wasn't at Madrid. I mean, just the show generally.
Well, the show was phenomenal.
But people who were there say that Madrid, and the band themselves say that Madrid was probably the best show. So
it was also a much smaller venue than most, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which I think probably made it very, very different.
Yeah.
We did review the overview, and then we reviewed the tour in the same episode. So we all saw at least one show. Some of us saw multiple shows.
Yeah.
I think it's 9.
What did I do? 4 or 5, I think. But yeah, it's an incredible recording of. I mean, it's great that it's got Voyage 34 in, which was only sort of developed about halfway into the UK leg of the tour, wasn't it? But I mean, the recording, the quality, as you'd expect with all this tech that we've talked about, is phenomenal. And to listen to it gapless is amazing, isn't it, Gray?
Well, gapless is we haven't mentioned that yet, but that's an important part of getting us, particularly with a live album.
Absolutely. And that's again was a problem that I was having. I couldn't get it to play gapless, which drove me up the wall. But I have now.
Good. I'm glad.
What do you make of the live album, Gray?
So I love it. I mean, I liked it straight away as soon as I heard it. I sat here in my studio and pressed play on as soon as I downloaded, just played the FLAC, and the sound is fantastic. But I mean, it wasn't recorded specially, was it? He records every single show he does. He does multi-track on every single show he does.
Well, in the days where everything is getting more and more expensive,
Yeah.
And, there's probably not going to be a third Royal Albert Hall because it's too expensive. It's probably not going to be filmed because it's too expensive.
Yeah.
But the cost of disc and systems, when you've got a PA in a venue already, and
Just plug it in.
just plug it in and go. It's the one thing that's got super easy. You'd have to have a truck outside the back of the venue to do the equivalent, for a tour in the olden days, in the 70s or 80s.
I mean, nowadays, I remember, but the last the last time I was playing in a band and we recorded live shows, it was literally you plugged something in underneath the sound desk for your multi-track, and that was it. And just basically at the end of the day, you're given a DVD with your multi-track on it and went away and mixed it. It was fantastic. And that was years ago. So, but I mean, it was even to sit in the hall. I saw him in Glasgow, and
That's the one I didn't see.
so just sitting there, and all of a sudden you hear the sound coming from above and behind, and you think, "Hang on a minute!" And you look at there's speakers all around there, and you realise it's being played back in the show in surround.
Well, we've had that since the Raven, probably, haven't we?
Yeah, I was going to say it's not the first time.
No, it's not the first time, but it was just the way it happened. It was so in this show in particular, and it's frustrating that I mean, he's explained why there is no film of the live shows because of the lighting and the darkness.
Yeah, it's too dark. Yeah.
But it would, and he says, and then to use the low light cameras would have been too expensive and too much of a technical issue, and blah blah blah. So I get that. So for those of us who were at the shows, something like Impossible Tightrope is great because it automatically takes me back to seeing the show live and making me think of what I was watching while and it's the same with I do the same with Before the Dawn. I will never see a video of that because she's not going to release it. But I just put on the show, and I can envisage watching that show in the Hammersmith-Odeon. So it's like there are things like that which I'm really glad I made the effort to go and see something, because if you're never going to see the video, it's the best we're going to get.
I mean, I think there is still some hope that the Royal Albert Hall, they're doing the sums. It might get done, but
it would be a shame to not record, to not have a document of that, wouldn't it?
Only because we're good at both.
Oh yeah, so it's Patrick, but yeah.
That's my reward for doing this testing work.
Yeah, I mean, with the orchestra and the choir, it should be pretty special.
I think it'll be amazing. Yeah.
And do you think there'll be a new album before that?
He said at the what's his name? What's the Wall? Is it Mick Wall?
Yeah.
He said at the Mick Wall podcast, he was then talking about the dates as being likely to be Septemberish, so that the news was starting to trickle out sort of publicly, from his own mouth around that kind of time. And at the time, he said expect to see the album around the same kind of time.
Yeah, I've heard so.
Also an event where he divulged probably the most that he has thus far about the nature of the album. So
yeah,
it's an anti-AI album. He's trying to play instruments he's never played, like the violin. He's trying to play stuff out of tune and out of time. It might be quite a thing.
With some lo-fi stuff on it, and it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, it's Stephen. It's not going to be that bloody lo-fi, is it?
No, it's not.
No, of course, no.
So do you think? I mean, there's been listening to him talk. He's been talking about the store as hopefully a repository for definitive audio, not just for his bands, but for stuff that he has done, getting permission from him to license stuff.
Yeah, that was the thought from the management point of view, but obviously it's a difficult thing to crack straight into because there's rights negotiations that need to happen. I mean, the first thing I mentioned when that was mentioned is get bloody Chic on there, because Chic is only available lossily.
Yeah,
I've heard it at L Acoustics in Hampstead, and Beggs was there and Guy Pratt was there, who's obviously worked with Bernard Edwards, and he was in tears, he's like shed a tear.
Oh wow.
It was so amazing. I mean, it's a great room, that room, and I think it's probably before they changed it. I think Skylarking was the first one I heard in there when they reconfigured it. But saw or listened to the Yes album and Chic around that kind of time. And we don't need the Yes album. If you're mad enough to spend under 20 quid on a box and get the Blu-ray Atmos out of that, the ones we really need are the stuff like Chic or Aha, if they end up doing the full album, that are probably less likely to be ever released on a packaged media disc, really.
Yeah,
But, No news on how they're getting on with that. I mean, I was quite pleasantly surprised to see that base communion there sort of day of launch. Has anyone listened
Yeah.
to it yet?
Not yet. No.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what they're aiming at. But I think there's going to be hard management work on rights issues for.
Yeah, because I think he was mentioning the some of the stuff that he's going to try and hit people that don't have plans to release physical media of things again.
Yeah.
And try and rather than go for the big stuff that he's doing now that's getting built, like you say, the boxes. The idea is that he said, I think that was in the interview with Jonathan.
It was in the John.
Yeah,
where he
was
said
really
to go
good,
for some, and Chic was mentioned. So I don't know if that came from you, but he was like, yeah.
No, I mean this is months back, but I say it every time. It's a sort of headline one from my point of view. But Jonathan's brain works along very similar lines as mine, so it's not, not surprised. I haven't actually. I came into this deliberately cold and not watching what anyone else has said about this stuff, so I'm just reacting to what you guys are saying.
What do you think, Patrick, of the new surround mixes of, say, Raven, for example?
To be honest, I haven't given that one a decent listen yet. I need to spend some time. I'm unfortunately I'm down London and live 150 miles away from where I work, so I've been thrashing around a lot and parental care responsibilities and stuff. So I haven't given it as much as I sort of should have done, really. But people whose opinions and ears I trust are saying it's great stuff.
Yeah,
I need to give it a go, really. But
go on then, Gray. You've played it, haven't you?
Oh yeah, no, like I said, it's stunning. So even being able to listen to it in that format with the imagery, but even because it's only the two videos that he's got on it, isn't it? It's like Drive Home and Raven. But the rest of it, being able to, it's funny because sometimes it's better not to have the video, just to be able to immerse yourself in the music and not pay attention to an image and not think about anything.
this was my thinking, yeah.
And like the pin drops is just absolutely outstanding. It is just the dynamic, and I think that's one of the things for me. It's always been a great album. It's always had great dynamics. But when you're talking about a system that has the frequency response that a decent surround / Atmos system does, and you've got a decent set of speakers, you've got a decent setup that is measured and what have you.
I think
to
it's
hear that mix.
It's worth saying that that's got the bonus disc from the box set on it as well.
Yes, it has now. Yeah, it's got the bonus material with the lounge version and all that kind of stuff on it.
In the second drop as well.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's this definitive thing. It enables you to think, "Oh, I forgot that. I'll just stick it on."
And I think Grace for Drowning. That's the other album I forgot, wasn't it? Grace for Drowning's got the map CD. The EP CD now is included in it as well. So although that's not Atmos.
And that's another add-on.
That's another add-on.
Yeah.
So are they publicising this at all, or is it just happening?
So I found it, but so the thing that really, what I was going to say, the one thing I would like to be taken back, if they're going to, if anybody listens to this, or we can get in contact with Rob, or like highlight the stuff that is specific. So they say we've got these videos, and we've got this video, and we've got that. Nothing is marked as exclusive to the definitive editions, and there is some stuff that's been released. So some of the video that's released for the overview, I think, was used in the films when they did the listening room, but I don't think it's been released anywhere else. It says it's been released, and it was stuff but it doesn't say it's exclusive.
But what stuff we're talking about again?
So there's some video that was released with the overview definitive edition, and it's stuff that they say was used for them. The listening.
It was for
the original
previews, like this time last year.
All right. Yeah.
For the films.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, I've got the box set of Harmony Codecs. I've downloaded Harmony Codecs because I'm a sap, and I just thought, I'm going to buy them all after listening to these because they are that good. But I don't know what stuff is actually on the Harmony Codecs that I haven't already got on the Blu-ray.
You could get it out of the box.
Yeah, but it doesn't explain it properly because of the way that's explained. And we've got this and we've got that, and this video for that. It's like
it's in the videos, isn't it? It's Impossible Tightrope or something.
Yeah, I think it's so.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to discern what's the selling point other than the quality of the audio. Sorry.
You should just tell Rob what you think and see what he says.
Yeah.
He's been very responsive throughout the whole thing.
Well, he has. I mean, the Alak email. It's funny because I went on to the Headphone Dust Substack, and I understand that there's a re-download of Raven available. because of sound issues in the mix, but also other and Apple Lossless being made available for all of the releases. I'm only hearing that through forums. I've seen nothing on the site to announce it. Is it correct? 24 hours later, everybody got an email. So
you're being influential.
Well, I don't know if it was me or if it was everybody else bitching and moaning as well, because I'm sure it wasn't the only one. But it was just that kind of. It's a new business. They're learning as they. I mean, I say it's a new business, but it's. I'm not sure. We don't know what the response has been like. Maybe we didn't expect to get as many people going. Well, what about this and what about that and what about this, or how do I do this or how do I know that? But as you say, Rob's been really good at responding. I've seen it on the forums.
I think they were expecting it. He was doing his best to sort of mitigate it in advance instructions and stuff. But you never know what's going to pop out, do you?
You're not going to cover it all.
Did anyone get sent any stuff as part of that second tranche of testing, or was that just a tech list that he was asking for? Because
I think it's just a tech list.
Yeah, I was expecting more testing, but I mean, I think it seems to have worked out.
Yeah. So I'm going to email Rob actually and say to him, because they've got the all Apple Fire Sticks is not supporting True HD, but the new two do. The ones they've just been not Apple, Amazon Fire Sticks. Yeah, they've just the two new ones support True HD pass through. So
what's on the Bass Communion album?
It's just the most recent album mixed in 5.1, which hasn't happened anywhere else. So, and it's 10 quid. But
yeah,
I'd expect to see more of those, because a couple of those were on DVD audio at early doors. So there are existing 5.1 mixes for a couple.
Yeah.
I think Tim wants to get his stuff on there, because we did this thing with Jonathan about a year or so ago, when I was disappointed that Power to Dry was released with just a lossy DVD-V, and K-Scope, bless them, still persist in putting DVD audio on it, even though it isn't a DVD audio. We've been telling them this for years. So I just persuaded sort of Tim and Stephen to let me have a go at getting it on IAA, and Tim Bonus Power to Dry Lossless 5.1 in FLAC is available there. And because we'd done that, we did the two No Man albums that are in 5.1.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, Tim's interested in getting those atmosified, but I'm not sure if that'll happen. But he's certainly interested in getting them on the site, and that would make the site look a bit more sort of heterogeneous. I mean, it's still Stephen Wilson stuff because it's Stephen Wilson mixes.
Well, technically, there's two artists, because it's just listed under Stephen and Bass Communion. But you need to see more on that page.
So if you got No Man and Tim Bonus on there, you'd have 4 for starters. But yeah,
it'd be interesting if he could. I don't know if he could dig out some of the old Fever Hex stuff and some of the original Headphone Dust things and get those on there. I'm
sure it'll be in his mind. I mean, It's not for nothing it's called Headphone Dust. I might have called it something completely new, but it works as a concept, really, for those of us that are sort of familiar with how it used to work in the olden days.
Yeah.
And do we think this isn't really going to be the end of the physical version of releases?
So he hasn't said that. He hasn't said it's the end. He said it's because reproducing them was too expensive.
Yes, yeah, and also saying that the sales are massively down on physical media for like live stuff and for all this. So you can understand, because there's got to be a break-even point where it's viable.
I mean, you never know. Stephen might be this. He might be the Steve Jobs of musical media, because obviously, when Steve Jobs took DVD players out of the Macs, everybody had a hairy fit, and then all of a sudden, everything was getting streamed. So, you never. You might be right. We might end up all your stuff gets done that way, but I can't see it for a while. There's still people like us that want a physical product, and I'll probably end up buying both.
There's no probably about it.
I know. I'm an absolute whore. It's horrible.
They're doing that. They're incentivizing that by putting all these obscurities, adding them in, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah.
They are. Yeah.
I can see that it's great for these things that are out of print. People have got access to this stuff. The Stevens box sets, they always sell out on the initial pressing, and that they never repress. So
well, the last two have gone. So there was a minor repress, I think, on Harmony Codex, wasn't there?
Was there?
There was a little second wave, I think, at one point. But the they've gone so fast. The last 2 or 3,
Yeah.
even the future bites, like
Everybody knows,
Yeah.
all the fans know that the minute it's announced, you have to order if you want to see one.
We've been conditioned.
Absolutely, yeah. He should write a song about it. Oh, he has, yeah. Okay.
I mean, I think he and Paul Sinclair from SDE are basically responsible for this like massively tricked out deluxe edition approach to bloody everything these days. They're
I think that was it. It felt like Stephen, one of the champions of physical product, has suddenly turned the other cheek.
Yeah. Well, he's not that involved, I mean, he's like he said, he deals on the audio front, and then he hands it over to nerdy boys after that.
Yeah.
If it's an additional sort of revenue generation stream for him, all well and good. As we've said, the hardcore are gonna get into it. There's the upsells like the Live, there's the upsells like the Raven Atmos. I think the crying shame really is if it does result in Raven never having a Blu-ray. For me, it would kind of be nice to have one, and it's a bit disappointing that Grace for Drowning doesn't have an Atmos at the moment.
Yeah.
But I bet he's going to do Insurgentes at some point.
Well, he got particular affinity for that album, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He said he couldn't.
Did he?
Didn't he say it wasn't Insurgentes were the one that he said on the Jonathan interview? So he said, so basically going back so far with the hardware
technology.
So basically pre 2009, I think, or 2011, he was using a Mac with Logic on it, but with the TDM hardware.
Yeah.
And he says, so the hardware it was on now doesn't work with the new. He says, so it would have to be like reverse engineered, put all his old systems back in to get the audio out to transfer it to a system that would allow him to. He said it's not practical.
It's down to the archiving approach, isn't it? I mean, he's always, I was trying to say to him, like your ADATs are going to die for all those early No-Mans and Porcupine trees, but he's not interested in trying to rescue them, which is a shame, really.
I think Fear of a Blank Planet. When did that come out? 2005.
Well, they didn't do it on the remaster because he was just too busy and he didn't have time.
Yeah, but was it 2000? When was it? I'm going to go. I have to check it.
8 or 9, but when that reissue came out, I asked them specifically, and they just said he hadn't had time to do it.
So I think he said he can go back as Fear of a Blank Planet, as far as he can go back.
And certainly when you get into Dead Wings and In Absentia, you're into stuff being sort of partially with the other guy and stuff.
Yeah,
I think he said something like that to me once. Can't remember. Yeah, he's not got all the elements digitally for certainly Dead Wings.
So there's a limit to how far he can go back. And like you say, he probably doesn't want to go back to things like Lightbolt Sun and what have you, because much as we'd like to hear them in it, they're kind of, for me, they're more analog focused stereo albums than they are.
I've always said it's a crying shame. I used to work where Stupid Dream was mastered, and the guy I used to work with did the string sessions for it and stuff.
Yeah.
And then Lightbulb Sun was a big leap up because all of a sudden the strings were then done by Dave Greggs and the mastering was done. People used to have a trick of like bouncing stuff out to 1/2-inch analog, for mastering, and that was done by Chris Blair at Abbey Road or whatever. I'm going like, where is that tape? Digitize that tape at 24/192. That would be the best Lightbulb Sun. Yeah. But a lot of this stuff just isn't going to happen. So. No.
Yeah.
Well,
in some other good news,
yes,
they're one track into a new No Man.
Oh, really? Oh, good.
I heard that from TB himself, so that's nice.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
And we have got Hand Cannot Erase to look forward to as a sort of an impending release on Headphone.
Yeah, I don't know why that's. Presumably, maybe still working on it. I don't know why that. I would expect those two. Maximum Impact if they dropped both of them together, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Really. Yeah. But, must be a reason for it. I don't know what it is. But,
well, Patrick, thank you for your input and your insight into this. I mean, you and Gray could have chatted for another 3 hours.
we could have done that for 3 or 4 hours, I think.
Yeah.
Quite easily.
We've had 0 listeners,
Hey, if anybody's got this far, they've done really well. So I want to thank you for being on the podcast. It's the quietest I've ever seen Mikey on the podcast. So
Well, I was just going to say,
Oh, here we go.
I really, really want to see the overview film released on 4K Blu-ray, physical format, please. And I really like the Headphone Dust logo. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I love anything to do with company logos and art and stuff, and that really struck me. I think it's really, really pretty clever. So that's my input.
There you
And
go.
I've got one request. Stephen Wilson needs to speak to Stephen Rothery and get a copy of Gentoo released on Headphone Dust in Atmos with the films that he wasn't able to get on the Blu-ray in time.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
The
films weren't ready, so we released the Blu-ray with the audio and no films.
Yeah.
But it's not a Stephen Wilson product, that one, is it? The mix or anything?
No, it's not.
No, it's not. No.
it's
very good, but it's not.
It's very good.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say, Craig? You're on mute, so it's not looking good. No?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well, thanks again, Patrick. We do appreciate you coming on. And you know, I'm sure we shall see you at some gigs. Probably not Rush at the minute, but that may change. Certainly if they announce another one.
It's ballsed up my my second attempt to go to Port Zealand, I think, or maybe third, but I can't remember.
Yeah. Might see you in the Royal Albert Hall later in the year as well.
Yeah, probably. I've no idea where I'm sitting. I might fall out of favour by then. I might not be going.
No, I think you'll be fine, and I also think you'll be further forward than us, so we shall wave. But yeah, thanks again for being on. All that remains to be said is thank you, Mikey.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Gray.
Cheers.
Thank you, Craig.
I've had a nice quiet evening tonight.
You have, haven't you? All you've got to do is edit this. Yeah. All that remains to be said is it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him.
Take care.
Go on then, Gray, get over it.
And stay alive.
Hey. Thanks for listening
to Planet Music from the makers of Planet Marzipan.
If you like what you've heard, please like and subscribe, and maybe even join our Facebook discussion group.
You can contact us at planetmarzipanpodcast@gmail.com.